there, everyone. Welcome to the Fabulous Health Show. I'm your host, Terry Chrisman, and I'm a whole foods plant-based nutritionist. And this podcast is all about how you obtain optimal health so you can live long, happy lives and age with grace and vitality. Today, we're going to discuss how you can say yes to healthy foods and no to unhealthy foods. Let's get some light on me. That might be a good idea. Hello, light. This podcast goes out live every day at 10 a.m. US Central Time during October 2021. If you're listening to it later on, you can check to see if I'm still going live. It just depends on how we go. You can subscribe on YouTube at Fabulous Health, and it's also available about an hour after each podcast goes live on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all the rest of them. And Spreaker, of course. I'm hosted by Spreaker. So today we're going to talk about how to say no to unhealthy foods and how to say yes to healthy foods. So let's have a look at a situation. You're sitting in a meeting with some colleagues and somebody's bought a box of donuts and they're right in front of you. Let me tell you, it's scientifically almost impossible not to put your hand out and eat the donut. It is, because things are going on in your brain. The donut has an emotional hold on you. Of course, if you've never eaten a donut in your life, this is not going to be true. But if you've already eaten a donut and you like donuts and they're yummy to you, then you're going to have an emotional hold. And not only that, you're going to have a chemical dependency on the donut, just like you would if it was a bit of heroin or crack cocaine and you'd had that before. What? You're saying? What do you mean? Well, the mixture of sugar, fat, and salt sends out signals to your brain that stimulate your dopamine response, which is your pleasure hormone. And it's not just donuts, it's all sorts of processed food, fried foods, whatever the foods are that have that beautiful mixture of sugar, fat, and salt. And I am going to be doing a podcast very shortly, in a few days, about how food companies actually do this on purpose to make you buy their products. But that's another story, and I'll get waylaid if I start on that. So the donut is talking to you. It's saying that you have to eat it because your body is craving it because of the history of you eating that donut. And the body remembers, the brain remembers the dopamine response. It remembers the pleasure hormone, and the body says, yep, I'll take that donut. And before you know it, your hand is on the donut, and before you can even blink, the donut is stuffed in your face. And it may not be a donut, it may be some other food that you really, really like. So how do you say no when you're in that situation? Well, I've got to tell you, it's very, very, very difficult for you to say no to food that your brain wants when it is sitting in front of you. Have you ever been to a Mexican restaurant and they bring out the corn chips and salsa, and you say to yourself, you know what, corn chips, they're fried, they're full of fat and maybe trans fat, and really they're no good for me. I won't have any. Yeah, like that's going to happen. You're going to eat the corn chips. You just are. So one of the ways to stop yourself eating those things is, particularly when you're at restaurants, is to say no, thank you. I'll keep the salsa and I'll put that on my burrito or my enchiladas or my taco or whatever, but I'm going to say no to the corn chips, thank you. The same with bread. When bread, that beautiful Italian crusty bread, comes and it's warm and it comes to the table before your dinner and it's wafting out all those beautiful aromas, hello, hand in the bread basket, you just got to say no. You've just got to say to the waiter, thank you so much, but I'm not doing bread. I'm saving myself for dessert or something. You can just make something up or just say you don't want the bread. Whatever. You don't need to justify yourself to the waiter. I don't know why I said that. But the other thing that you can do is be informed about what is going into your body. So, for example, the donut is full of fat, and fat clogs your arteries, and fat causes heart disease, and fat strangles your organs, and fat causes inflammation, which is the root of all disease. Once you have that knowledge, You're going to be more likely to avoid things that are laden in fat, fried foods, for example. It's full of sugar, and everybody knows that sugar is, the root of all evil. Too much sugar is a cause of diabetes and also inflammation and obesity. So once you know that the donut's full of sugar and you know these things, then maybe you'll say no to that donut. And the last thing is salt. Yeah, the donut's full of salt. You better believe it. Salt is responsible for high blood pressure and edema, which is you holding on to water, making it difficult for you to lose weight, amongst many, many other problems. So learn the information about the food that you're putting into your body. And it's not just the donut. It's the processed foods, the foods that come in the shiny packets that go crinkle, crinkle, crinkle when you open them up. It's all the things that are in boxes that have lots of ingredients on them that you cannot understand and that you don't actually understand what they are. Yeah. So what you need to do is you need to disassociate yourself from the pleasure of the food by focusing on what it really is. Let's look at another thing. Something as innocuous or as benign, you might say, as yogurt, promoted as a health food, but yogurt is really, really unhealthy for you. Number one, it's made from milk, and milk is full of bovine growth hormone, which is contraindicative to a human body's metabolism. Number one, you are not a cow, and number two, you're not a baby cow. It's also full of antibiotics. It's full of the GMO food that the mother cow actually ate while she was lactating. And it's full of stress hormones because the mother cow is under stress because she's forced to give her milk. Her babies are taken away from her and all the rest. Plus, it's full of pus. Yes, the FDA has a limit, get it, a limit of how much pus is allowed in each litre of milk. And it's 750 million pus cells per litre. You want some milk? Nice. The other thing is that it's got lactose in it. Lactose upsets your GI tract. It causes bloating and it causes diarrhea to 80% of people on the planet. That is because when we are babies, we need lactose, which is an enzyme in our body to digest our mother's milk, we need lactase in our body, which is an enzyme, to digest our mother's milk, which has the milk sugar lactose in it. As we get weaned from our mother's milk, our lactase production diminishes. And as we get older, we become more and more intolerant to milk. If you were weaned as a baby and never ate cow's milk, you would be completely lactose intolerant, because once you stop taking that lactose into your body just stops making that lactase enzyme. So those are the things that you don't want to eat because of the yogurt. Plus, it's full of fat. It's got 50% fat, yogurt has. And that's just going to go straight to your butt, straight to your legs, straight to your thighs. And we don't want that. Plus, most yogurt is full of sugar. Yeah, you can get sugar-free yogurt. But what about all the other bad things? You don't want to eat it. So read the labels. Read what's going into your body. What's high fructose corn syrup? Google that. What is xanthan gum? What does that do to you? What is gelatin? Why is palm oil in all these things? You've got to find out what these things are, what they do to your body, and then you've got to avoid them like the plague. Learn about processed foods and pay attention to what your body feels like after you eat the processed food. So even though I love the taste of a good fried donut covered in chocolate icing, it makes me sick after I eat it. I feel nauseous. I feel sluggish. The oil makes me sick. So I just don't eat donuts. Also, don't be a passive consumer. Pay attention to what you're buying and pay attention to what you're putting in your body. And then, okay, you can't leave a void. You've got to swap these things out for healthier alternatives. You want a cookie? Then make your own cookies with real whole food ingredients. You want some ice cream? Make some nice cream. It's made out of frozen bananas and frozen fruit, and it tastes really, really nice. And after you've had nice cream, you won't miss that ice cream with all that lactose and all that cow pus. You just won't miss it. If it comes from a plant, it's good. If it comes from a box, it's probably not so good. Yeah, you can buy some products that are actually one ingredient that have been lightly processed. And I'm not saying all you got to eat is kale and veggies. You can buy some products in boxes, but you've really got to pay attention to what's in them. Once you know what is in the foods and you know that they're poisonous for your body, you will be able to eat healthier. You'll be able to eat much more healthy very easily. So the other thing is put healthy foods front and center of you. I'm doing a podcast tomorrow about how to manage your environment so that you are not tempted by the unhealthy foods. That's another podcast, and that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. But in the meantime, put healthy foods front and center. Be prepared with healthy snacks. Take them in your handbag, put them in your car, a little box of baby carrots or cherry tomatoes or chopped up cucumbers. Fantastic healthy snacks to take with you on the go so that you won't be tempted by those unhealthy snacks. So say yes to fresh fruits and vegetables and whole foods. There's more nutrients in them, and you will decrease your cravings over time for those unhealthy foods because your brain will disassociate itself from that dopamine response from those unhealthy foods. I hope this podcast was of value to you today. Remember, I go live every single day, October 2021. At 10 a.m. Central on Facebook, on my Facebook page, and also in YouTube at Fabulous Health. And you can get this podcast in about an hour on all your podcast platforms. I'd love to hear your comments. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And you guys have a fabulous day.